Welcome to Housing for Good, a podcast dedicated to housing topics and issues affecting our communities in McPherson County and beyond. With years of experience and expertise, hosts Chris Goodson and Karolyn Moore discuss housing challenges and opportunities with other experts from a variety of housing fields.
Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Housing for Good. I'm Karolyn.
And I'm Chris.
All right, Chris, I have some news.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, so the point in time count is getting ready to be done in January. Do you know what this is?
I was just going to ask you, Karolyn, what is a point in time count?
So the point in time count will be the evening of January 22nd. HUD, Housing and Urban Development, wants to know where are homeless people sleeping, and they do it once a year, and they do it either overnight on the 22nd or in the morning on the 23rd. The communities that receive federal funding or agencies, so we receive federal funding, we have to help with the point in time count so that the number of homeless people can be counted. Now, last year in Kansas, there were 2,216 people that were counted in the PIC count. Now, you and I both know that number is probably larger.
It is larger. And I thought that we had a 50% increase from the year before. I thought it was a huge increase.
Well, they're only saying a 10% increase from 22. That's the official number. But we both know that a lot of times homelessness is hidden. People are very afraid that if they have children, that their children are going to be taken away or that they're going to be in some sort of trouble. So they don't always make themselves known.
So why would anybody care about this?
Because this is where the federal dollars come from. So for our agency and other agencies across the state, actually across the nation, that are working to fight against homelessness and to get these people housed, we need those federal dollars. And without data, then Congress is not likely to turn over money if you can't prove what you're going to use it for.
So I think it's important, too, that we talk about what's the definition of homelessness. Maybe I know somebody that I think's homeless. What's that definition look like for a family that they would know they need to count? Is it couch surfing? Are we not counting that?
Well, according to HUD, if you are staying the night with somebody in their home, you are not homeless.
Okay.
So according to HUD, the definition is that you have no place to call home. You don't have an address. You basically are out in the open, or you're staying in a homeless shelter. You are not housed.
Okay.
So it gets really tricky because we know in McPherson, a lot of our homeless folks are what they consider housed, even though you're sleeping on somebody's couch or you're on their floor. That's not your house, but according to HUD standards, you aren't homeless if you have a place to be. It gets very frustrating, but we do our best to, manage the situation and count as many people as we can. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other news I have is Brush Up Mac. I think we talk about this every single episode. That is going to be on April the 19th.
Yep.
So if you know a senior that needs some assistance with some housing issues, as long as they own their own home, we'd be happy to help them if we have people who will volunteer and help. Yeah. And again, if you want to put a team together, that would be amazing. Those applications are coming out in paper in January. However, are they on our website at this point?
They are.
Okay.
Yep,
so either way, they can get those applications. So we really want to promote this countywide. If you know somebody, please contact us so we can make sure that senior gets some assistance and stays in their home safely.
Absolutely. Okay, well, this is a very exciting topic. Today we are going to be talking about expungements. A year ago.
What's expungements, Karolyn?
Well, an expungement is the legal process that seals your criminal record and allows the individual to say they have never been convicted or arrested for certain offenses.
And why do we care about that?
Well, we care about that because people who have a criminal record are discriminated against for housing or jobs or basically any of the services that you or I take for granted. So if you have a felony, you can let me back up. You can have 2 felonies, but on the second one, you lose all support from DCF. So you can have 1 felony and still be okay. Get food stamps, cash assistance, child care assistance, that kind of stuff from DCF. But if you get a second felony, you can no longer get those services. Last year at our housing conference, we had a expungement clinic that ran right alongside that conference. Do you remember some of the...
I remember somebody hugging me.
Chris is not a hugger. Somebody ran up to her and hugged her.
I mean, it was joyful, but I'm like, hello, what is happening?
So we have Jackie Gilby joining us today. She was one of the participants in the expungement last year, so we're very happy to have her. Let me just say before we get started that if you have a felony on your record, you can be eligible for an expungement if you have not been convicted of a felony in the past 2 years, you've completed all of the required amount of time that the court has ordered, you were convicted of a minor crime, such as a traffic infraction, misdemeanor, or drug-related felony, and at least 3 years have passed since your sentence was completed, or you were convicted of a severe offense, such as a Class A, B, or C felony, perjury, vehicular homicide, but at least 5 years have passed since your sentence was completed. So expungements are something that are very, very important. So Jackie, welcome to the show.
Oh, welcome, Jackie.
Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. She waved, if anybody was wondering.
Yeah.
So, Jackie, tell us what happened when this expungement. How did it go about? Was it a difficult process? Did the attorneys walk you through it, or how did that whole thing work?
I was step by step through the entire process, from the application to making the phone call to the assistance in answering the questions that they had. Like, they were very explanatory with everything. So the process itself was not difficult by any means. I think the most difficult thing about the expungement was the realization that I was going to be a different person once it was over. And, like, was I willing to let that go?
Oh, that's amazing. So that leads into the second question of how has your life changed since the expungement?
Before my expungement, I worked a lot of entry-level jobs. I did a lot of home remodeling, a lot of volunteer work to get myself into the door of like other opportunities as far as jobs went. Still kept myself pretty minimum wage because there's a lot of stigma behind people that are felons, whether they say that they're an equal opportunity employer, however that works. People look at you differently.
Yeah.
And while I have been on a journey of fixing all of the wrongs I made in my life, I still had a lot of people in the community that just didn't have that trust because of my record and because of my background. And like with this, not just in this community, but in our surrounding communities, because this community has kind of watched me grow and become who I am.
Yeah. But
in the surrounding communities, like, it's believable. I live in a house now, like a real house. I don't know how to explain that. It's a super big deal that I have the capability of being trusted in a home that someone else owns.
Okay, so let me go back to another question then. So you found it difficult to be a renter.
Oh, yes.
Or to even get anybody to consider your application.
Oh, yeah.
Prior.
As a renter, as a neighbor, because having neighbors and having that community surrounding you is a big deal. Like, it's a whole support system that you don't really see any other time. But when you would find housing, the people that rented you were either also felons or they stayed to themselves. They didn't really mess with people that were felons. So you ended up in communities where it was very similar to what you came from.
Okay.
There's not a lot of growth there.
So I don't think people think about that.
Yeah.
Just the community whole part of that, being able to surround yourself with just regular people, and feeling like you're good enough to be there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's amazing. And what a growth. I mean, you should be very proud of yourself for the growth that you've had and understanding that you yourself, even though you wanted it, it was going to be a struggle to understand, how do I live now, now that that's not there. So that's incredible. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned entry-level jobs and really not being able to get any kind of promotion or do better there. You mentioned the struggles with housing or being able to rent. What were some other struggles that you had or that you went up against when that record would come out. Are there anything else you can think about?
My record started when I was young, super young.
Yeah.
So in my 30s, I didn't remember every single charge I had.
Okay.
And it made me look like a liar. It made me feel like a liar. And just my charges were all over the place. So it just looked like if I looked at my record as a regular person that was trying to hire someone or allow someone to be in any of the places that I wanted to be in this community, I probably wouldn't have let them.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing that I've come to realize is we do a lot of stupid things when we're young. And thankfully, the stupid things I did when I was young, I never got stuck there. And that's one thing in trying to talk with the community is if you think back when you were a teenager and a very young adult, the things that you did you ever get stuck there? Because that's what we're talking about has happened to people that, have a record or for some reason they find themselves homeless. It's like I've never gotten stuck in a mistake that I've made. There's always been a way out of it. So I'm really happy that you got to have that experience with this expungement.
Yes.
So was there any cost to that? Did you have to pay for that at all?
I had to pay $125 roughly, and that, first of all, I don't know if you know what the prices of expungements are when you go hire a lawyer, but you have to put a decent amount down and then you have to pay for the entire process when you go hire a lawyer. And it was $125 for everything. Like,
wow.
I didn't have the fines or fees that some others had, but that was a big deal. That was a super big deal because I definitely couldn't have afforded to do that on my own had I not went through and done the clinic.
So that is another piece that goes along with the expungement. If you have any kind of fines or fees that were ordered by the court, along with your $125 or on my information, I have a $195 filing fee. But along with that filing fee, whatever that is, you have to pay off the fines and the fees before it can be finalized.
Yes, and I didn't have those, luckily, but I did watch other applicants have fines and fees. But in the process of that, there were a few of us in the same room. The people and the attorneys that were there were able to walk them through exactly where they needed to go to pay those, how they needed to pay those, and there were a few applicants that they were able to call and talk to certain people and get their fines kind of put together so that they could have a system where they can make payments instead of having to worry about doing it all at one time.
Yeah, or paying 10 different people because stuff happened in different areas or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that was another thing. The attorneys that you worked with, they could help with Kansas, criminal felonies for Kansas. If you have your felony in another state, I think they help refer you to the appropriate resources for that, but they can't necessarily expunge or help expunge that felony.
Outside of state, no. I did have charges from when I was younger that followed me, and I did have an amazing experience as far as that went because I never thought I would be able to go back to the state of Georgia where I'm from to get those expunged because I don't know the resources there.
Yeah.
I have no clue the process. I literally had someone walk me through this process. So how would I do that all by myself? And the woman that helped me actually helped me walk through the process of finding the resources that I needed for that state. So I ended up also getting those done. Not through them necessarily, but through the referral of the resources that they knew about.
And I do want to say that we want to give a little kudos here to Kansas Legal Services because they were the ones who came and put on this clinic. And so we were able to sponsor that free of charge except for the part when you had to file the thing at the court or whatever. And so we do really appreciate Kansas Legal Service because they are so helpful. Do we have their phone number available somewhere where we could tell people to call them? I know they have a website, and this is available to anybody in the state of Kansas as long as you meet the criteria that Karolyn read earlier, that if you have a record of some sort and you want to get an expungement, they are willing to do that with no cost. Their attorneys obviously are pretty amazing. So we are probably going to have one next year.
Yeah.
Do we have one planned for next year?
We do. So Joy Springfield was the attorney at Kansas Legal Services that helped us with the expungement clinic we had last year. And I've already talked with her. We're already on their calendar. And so they will come and we'll do the same kind of thing. We'll get people to sign up and tell them where to go. And
yeah, and so I want to know what else you have to say about all of this. Do you have more to add? Or, I mean, I don't even, usually I ask people, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do with it? I don't know if that applies here or not when it comes to expungements or helping people or if anything else. Let's get the word out.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to Kansas Legal Services and to you guys also for providing that clinic, because I don't think that our tiny little community would have thought of those things. Oftentimes there are people that are not necessarily missing in action, but overlooked in our community as being a resource themselves and having the capability of doing things very similar to those that don't have felonies. And it gave me those opportunities. Today I get to be a part of my community. Today I get to walk with my shoulders back and my head high, because I know I am a part of McPherson, and I am a good citizen whenever it comes down to that.
yeah.
I get to make a difference today, and I get to do it publicly, and I don't have to hide who I am or the person I am. I don't hide the fact that I was once a felon. And it makes me feel a lot better about not having to hide who I was. I get to show people, like, yes, this is what I did, but like also this is where I came from, and this is what I've done, and these are the people that helped me.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to tackle this topic of before you had the expungement, any interaction you had with attorneys was probably not good.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. So then you have this group of attorneys that help you with this expungement. What were they like to work with?
They were amazing. It was like sitting with a parent that was supportive and very willing to just get you where you needed to be. Like, I don't even know how to explain how supportive they were, because oftentimes if you get in trouble, your parents aren't super happy with you.
Yeah.
But they were genuinely interested in some of the scenarios where they looked at my record and they were like, how did this happen? But at the same time, they were like, okay, well, this is what we can do, and this is how we can do that. And they were very supportive of the journey that I had forward. They acted like they cared. Like they didn't just act, like they cared about how all of this was going to fix what I had to do in my future to be able to move forward. And quite literally sat like side by side and sat with me through the entire process.
Yeah. So that's what I love about Kansas Legal Services. They don't make you feel stupid, or they don't look down on you.
No judgment.
You feel almost like a peer to them. So tell me now, what would be your experience if you had to now go speak with an attorney?
I feel like I could do it confidently.
Okay.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's what I love about working with them, with this group of attorneys, is it changes your whole perspective, because most of the time if you've met an attorney, it's because there's a problem. Either you're in trouble or you're having trouble. But if you're on the end of being in trouble, then it's not a good experience. Just like with law enforcement. If you are always in trouble, then that experience is not good.
Right.
And I love being able to turn it over and say, okay, let's swap this and let's get you what you need, get this off your record, and change the trajectory of your interactions with these professionals. So
And your whole life.
And your whole life.
And
yeah.
your whole life. I mean, like I said, it took me off guard, the whole hugging thing.
Yeah.
But it did. I was like, wow, this is really I have no idea, what somebody that I understood how important it was, because people that, from a housing perspective,
Yeah.
trying to get affordable housing or applying for anything like HUD vouchers or any of that, if you have a felony, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And so that's holding you back. Not being able to get a job is holding you back. So I never really understood that until that day. And I'm like, I think this was a big deal.
Yeah.
I think this was good.
You just had a hand in changing
Yeah.
the life trajectory for somebody. And I believe that day, and I believe that there were like 17 or 18 people that got help that day. And the part that blows my mind is there were like 35, 37 felonies that these 17 or 18 people had on their record. It's hard for me to comprehend the impact that had that day. But I'm so proud of the Housing Coalition that we got to do that. And, this brings up another side of this, and the legislature right now is trying to decide if they should make it legal for you to get an eviction off of your record. If you can get an eviction expunged, because that's another one of those things that currently, if you goofed up at some point, maybe years ago, that eviction still shows up
forever.
When they run your rental history.
It's forever. I mean, if you have a problem, like I don't pay a bill and it goes on my credit report, after a while that goes away. 7 years, that's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm not living with that for the rest of my life. Why is an eviction any different?
Yeah.
If I haven't had an eviction in over 7 years, why am I still having to suffer through that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just from a practicality standpoint, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how that's even a thing or how that even works. But I think that those should be just like this.
Yeah,
we should get rid of those off of people's records, let them move forward and be able to move on and not hurt their chances of moving on with their life.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're one of our listeners and you are hearing this podcast and you go, oh, wait a minute, an eviction is on somebody's record forever? Make a phone call to your local representatives, your senators, and talk with them about that. Let them know. Because, like I said, they're trying to sort through it and figure out if that's something they want to be able to have expunged from people's records. What does that look like? Give your impact and your thoughts on that. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
I love the conversation. If you would be interested to speak with us during a podcast, or you know somebody that would be a great topic of conversation, give us a holler. You can reach us at housingforgood@mcphersonhc.org. Leave a review there. Let us know how we're doing. Thank you for listening to us today, and have a great day.